right, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Conversions Next for the first episode of the Conversions Next in 2023 in English. And I'm very pleased that I'm not alone in this session. I'm very pleased to welcome Matt Christie today, who's going to join us for all the session in this year. We're going to start with the homepage today, but we're going to start with introducing the man, the machine, the magician, the UX god, Matt Christie. How are you feeling today? Thanks for joining.
I was feeling good, but now you said all that. No, thank you, mate. Hello, everyone. It's great to be here today. Always a privilege to discuss all things user experience and obviously to present her alongside this fabulous guy, Nico, as well. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining. For all of you who joined right now, Matt is very experienced when it comes to UX. He's your go-to guy for all your questions that should arise in this hour regarding the homepage. Make the most out of it, get in the chat, introduce yourself, ask questions, as many as you want, as many as you like. If you turn on your microphone, you can talk to us, you can talk to Matt, you can ask him anything, except what's underneath the cap. I think you've been to the dentist, not the
I mean, just
the barber.
it's freshly bleached, so it's very blonde and very bright.
Nice. Maybe we can wait. Maybe we can save that for the end of the webinar. You need a hook, right? Cool. So thanks everyone for joining. We're going to start with the agenda, and I'm going to walk you through what we do with the Conversions Next. Like I said, jump into the chat, introduce yourself. What do you do? Who do you do it for? What is your maybe problem with the homepage? And we're going to look at the agenda real quick. And I'm going to show you what we do in the Conversions Next. There we go. So what you see is we have, well, here's the agenda. We're going to go through some benchmark data. We're not going to do the business goals, user goals, because an hour is just too small to do business goals, user goals. But at the end, you can see the live review. And that's what I wanted to add in the beginning. If you want a live review, Matt's going to take his time and take a look at your homepage. If you want that, put the URL in chat. Let us know if you want a live review, and we're gonna do this in the end of the session. But before that, like I said, we're going to do benchmark data especially on the homepage. We're going to go through guidelines and best practices. That's why Matt is here. He's the expert, and he's going to guide you through the guidelines and best practices. And I prepared two analysis I can show you regarding the homepage customer journeys. We've seen one of our customers or two of our customers and what the problem was during these sessions. So that's what we have planned for you. And I think looking at the time, let's start because we have a lot of content. I'm going to start with the benchmark introduction for you. Just going to have to switch the view real quick. There we go. And back again with the benchmark data. So let's start with the benchmark data. As you might have heard, we just released our annual benchmark report. And a quick word about the methodology. To build this report, we analyzed more than 35 billion sessions over nearly 3,000 websites across the globe. And year after year, this digital benchmark report gets even more powerful with more customers that we have. The more clients we have, the more accurate we get in understanding the digital ecosystem. And these are the topic, the top stories. And I would like to emphasize the last story. If you manage to build experiences that are engaging, that actually drive activity, you drive better outcomes. And you are all in this session to hear about the homepage. And maybe the first question to ask yourself, how important is my homepage? And we will go through this analysis later on, but my feeling, and Matt, I'm happy to hear your thoughts. Sometimes, or maybe even a lot of times, we overestimate the importance of the homepage. What do you think?
Always, yeah. I mean, the issue, and we'll look at this in a second. The homepage is obviously the gateway to the rest of the site. You know, the definition is essentially it's where we house links and gateways to different areas of the site. So it's incredibly important for those that land on the homepage that they know where to go. and then they don't have frictions or issues. But I'll touch on that more shortly.
Cool. Yeah, let's look at the benchmark data in regards to activity. And what we see is that next to the product detail page, the homepage is not really a site where we get a lot of engagement, right? So that raises the question, what is the homepage used for? And Matt just actually explained right that. But before answering this question, let's take a look at the page-by-page view of activity and page consumption. We see that for the homepage, not only activity is low, but also the page views per converted session. And I mean, that's a good indicator for the function or the role of the homepage in a journey. It should distribute visitors to other pages, like Matt just said, and to go deeper into your page and deep into the funnel. And for the homepage, it doesn't have to be super long, I guess. Actually, I think, and we safely can say that, the less, the better, right, Matt? Do you agree on that?
Mm-hmm. Always.
And we have some great examples. If you want to, I know from a German customer at Toyota, they have their homepage. You cannot scroll the homepage. They looked at the most important journeys. They have the call to actions for the most important journeys. Obviously, they have the menu, but they really did a great job there. So actually, less is better. But before that's it for the benchmark report. I don't want to go into too much detail. If you want to read the benchmark report, go to the Content Square website, download the report, and you will have all the data in there. This should only set the frame for the homepage, and we already talked about maybe the most important thing, what the homepage is for, to distribute people. Before we go into the guidelines, and Matt takes over, there's one thing I want to emphasize. Be your own benchmark. If you want to compare yourselves, then do it with an earlier version of yourself. And please test the following recommendations. Obviously, we see a lot of behavior. We have a lot of data on behavior, and these following guidelines and best practices are based on the behavior and Matt's experience. But please test them. It could be the right thing for your website. It also could be not the right thing for your website. Every website is different, and I guess has its own users. So that's it for me in the beginning. I wanted to keep this real brief, give you a quick intro into the benchmark report, into the topic of today of homepage. And now we hand over the mic to the magician himself for the guidelines and best practices. And if there are any questions, put them in the chat. I'm gonna ask them right away.
There's a couple already, Nico. So we've already
Nice.
got volunteer for the live UX review, which is awesome.
Cool.
So yeah, again, just to touch on that, for anybody else on the call today, if you do want to go ahead and have a live review of your homepage, yeah, fire it in the chat or the Q&A, and we'll have a look at that together. Keeping in mind the best practices that we're going to look at now as well. And just touching on what you said before, Nico, like, yeah, with the homepage, so often see so much, as you know, to say waffle on there. There's too much. There's too many elements going on. It's a long page that nobody's really ever going to look at. So it's finding that fine balance. And a great example there with Toyota as well, where fantastic champions, and they streamline their journey and make it as efficient as possible.
Quick question before you start. What's your role? Someone asked in the chat, what is your role?
That was exactly what I was about to say then.
Is it GOAT? Is it GOAT of Content Square?
Oh man. I've been here 3.5 years now. I started as a UX design lead, and that essentially meant I worked kind of with our clients. So really hands-on with the data, and then really kind of like agile and rapid, creating redesigns and new pages based off that data. So I'm in a very kind of lucky position to have had all this access to thousands of websites, lots of different insights, and now kind of just stored up in the brain, and also in some Google Slides as well. And now I'm a UX design strategist. So I really work alongside marketing, our clients, and sales as essentially as a consultant. So kind of really harboring all that Content Square benchmark data and use cases throughout the years to then be able to, you know, give as best advice as possible. Again, you know, we do recommend that if you are to test any of this stuff today or put it in your roadmap, again, test and test and test and test. You know, I don't want to say that one solution is going to, you know, be the best thing for you for forever, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, test always. And that's me.
Thank you for that. And thanks for everyone putting in the URLs. I think if we have nothing else to do left to do this day, we can go through all of these.
Yeah, we'll give up the rest of our day.
Yeah. That would be cool, actually. That would be fun. Like to go to do a marathon. I see some customers as well. I see MediaMarkt in there. I saw. Yeah, we have a lot. We have to choose later on. Let's see how we do it. If we pick the first one or just pick randomly. Let's see. But let's go. Let's do the guidelines first.
Okay, so homepage above the fold. So as I mentioned before, if you know anybody wants to do this now or after the call, it's very silly, but just type in, you know, like what is a homepage or definition of a homepage. We always so often forget this. We forget, like, it's this obviously this incredibly important page. And I know that these days as well, you know, SEO, Google, we land on specific pages and the homepage can often be ignored and blah, blah, blah. And it's incredibly important. It's the gateway. And it's also where first impressions count. You know, if you're wanting to kind of get across the message as to who you are as a brand, you want that to be clear and defined. So what happens above the fold is essentially detrimental to the rest of your user experience. Okay. It's all right having a page that's maybe, you know, 10, 12,000 pixels in length. That's a very long homepage. And I see this so often. But what is the first 800 pixels, you know, on your browser, on your mobile phone? So what we'll do now is we're going to go through quick tips, and then I'll show you some kind of real life examples of those tips in action as well. So making sure the menu and search are clearly visible, legible, and sticky. So again, if you've got a long homepage, when you're scrolling, we want to make sure that navigation is always present. We don't want it to disappear as we scroll. We don't want to get towards the middle half of the page, the bottom of the page, and then decide, oh, we want to navigate to somewhere else, but I can't because the menu is not here or the search is not here. So what would we have to do then? We have to scroll all the way back up to the top. And look, I'm exaggerating maybe a little bit, like, we have to scroll all the way back to the top. But again, this extra labor adds to potential frustrations that the user is going to experience because of that. So make sure they're always sticky. Guiding users to browse product categories. So what we want to narrow down the journey overall. We don't want them to have to kind of go looking for something like from scratch. They have to navigate through a category, then a subcategory, and then they have to use maybe filters when they're on their product listing page. And then they have to narrow down by price. And you've got all these different elements of narrowing down your search. So if you can do this on the homepage early on, get them to say, you know, if there's gender first, like men's, women's, children, or if you want to get to them to jeans, tops, socks, hats, we want to get them there as quickly as possible. And again, with Content Square, it's great to analyze this. We can often see like how attractive these categories are. We can then utilize that and improve the user experience that way as well. We can put most popular towards the top and the ones that are less so just underneath. And yeah, really narrow down that search quickly. Primary CTAs.
Quick question, Matt. Yeah. From an anonymous attendee. The common practice in industry is to have a search bar because the first point you said, make menu and search clearly visible. What do you think of that? We are right now we're looking at the mobile guidelines, right? Maybe if we take a look at the desktop version, there might be a search bar. But what's your take on that?
So in terms of keeping the search visible at all times,
yeah,
absolutely.
Like the search bar. Not only like that's what I guess from the
icon here. Yeah, like especially on like mobile, you know, on desktop you'll typically see like the search bar will be expanded by default. I think it's good. It's good to have visible at all times if you've got the space for it, of course. Obviously, if we click that icon now, we'd be in the situation where it would appear below. But yeah, I think, keeping them in there at all times, we could, and then search itself, like autofill, pre-fill, suggestions, that is obviously integral to getting the user to where they need to be at all times. So yeah, I think we've got some examples coming up that'll show that in action.
Cool. We have another question regarding the second point. I'm gonna, that's good. I love the engagement. I'm gonna, here's Rebecca. Rebecca, if you unmute yourself. Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thanks.
Hi, you had a question regarding the balance of SEO. Please ask it yourself.
Well, just we're looking at our homepage at the moment, and obviously for SEO is driving the need to sort of have main category links from the homepage. It's kind of a request coming in from SEO, but that could be quite, distracting, too much clutter, kind of affect the user experience. So how do you balance off these two objectives?
So, sorry, Rebecca, you said that again. You need the kind of main category links present for SEO on the homepage, but obviously not to be detrimental to the rest of the user experience. So yeah, I mean, in terms of textual links, something like that. So, I know that often on homepage, we see massive grids full of, top category, like a grid of, tops, a grid of jeans, a grid of this and that, and obviously it adds more length to the page. Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, in terms of SEO, I'm not the biggest expert on that, but from a UX perspective, we ideally, and from what I've seen, keeping the links above the fold or just along the fold line as much as possible is key, because, as well as the search bar, we wanted to narrow down that search as quickly as possible. Sorry, does that answer your question or not?
Not exactly. I think we've got a lot of links in our mega nav already, which is sort of common to the site. It's not common to the homepage. So then, how much of that do we repeat on the homepage to get that page authority for SEO? Because it looks like it can be duplicating for the consumer. Do we want them to use the navigation? Do we want to put so many of the links back on the homepage for SEO reasons? That's the kind of conflict that we have.
Who do you work for?
I work for Glasses Direct. It's a online prescription eyewear company, and we have a lot of we have like 10 facets for our product catalog. So that means we have a lot of links or a lot of ways in to finding product. So it's always a bit of a struggle. It's like, is it overwhelming for consumers?
Yeah, I think it probably would be, in terms of, I mean, I can always have a look after this and see, and then follow up with you if you want to add your name too, and I can find you on LinkedIn.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll do that.
Let's do that.
Cool. Thanks for your question, Rebecca.
Okay, cool. So carry on. Add an element to prompt users to scroll or show partial images, tiles to indicate there's more content. So again, this is just really emphasizing the above the fold and kind of then blending it into the content below. What's the point in having heaps of content on your page if you've got a design that suggests that you don't have it? Why do you have it? So that's really the biggest kind of point there. And what I'll do now is I'll go through these and I'll show you the real life examples, and then I'll expand on them as we go. So making show menu and search clearly visible, primary CTAs clearly visible above the fold, and add an element as well. So this is just obviously desktop compared to mobile. And let's just get into the examples. Feel better with the examples. So much better. Cool. So we've got this example from Jet here. You can see straight off the bat, global navigation bar remains sticky to the top of the page as the users are scrolling. They've got heaps of stuff there, exploring top brands. They've got those product category links, spotlight, watcher, like departments and so on. But the navigation and the search is always sticky. And to go back to the last point, as we can see in this example here, they've utilized it on mobile. So the search is expanded by default. So we've got the burger menu, we've got the logo for brand recognition, and then we've got the search expanded by default. So yeah, really great to go for that instead of having that extra click to open up the search as well to discover there's a search bar there. And another one from Bed Bath & Beyond, visible, legible, and sticky. So yeah, in this example, obviously we can see that search is in icon form, but we've got that text there as well. Great from an accessibility point of view. Really like to kind of push that these days now as well, like really kind of articulating that the burger menu is a menu, the kind of magnifying glass is a search, and cart is a cart as well. So always kind of having that text there makes those icons more legible at all times. And if there's any questions on that, Nico, feel free to jump in as I go, mate. I know that there's so much to be.
Yeah, there are really so many questions. I try to figure out which we have to answer right now and which we might follow up, because there are questions. Yeah. There are questions regarding navigation, and I know we have a lot of. I mean, we have in Germany, we have a known session on the navigation, so we might have to increase the number of conversions next we do in this year. But I will make sure to follow these up and ask the questions that make sense at the moment for the flow of the session.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And we've got the live UX review as well. So
yeah.
Okay, so simple navigation, doesn't take up a large amount of real estate. Clean, easy to understand, easy to read. In this instance as well, like we've got this kind of banner, this large banner that is obviously focusing on, a limited edition product, Abercrombie & Fitch. So there's always that balance between obviously brand and user experience. This is where it does become complex, especially for me as a user experience designer, especially over the years, learning that, look, I can't have my way all the time. I can't have everything to be incredibly broken down, simple and easy to use. We also have brand and brand marketing to consider as well, which is not a bad thing. Otherwise, all home pages and that would look incredibly boring probably, but that's always something to consider. But clear CTAs that get you to that limited edition product. And then we've got this kind of like cut-off design then, right? We know that there's content further down the page, and that's going to lure us in and want us to engage and scroll into the rest of that content. Different colors, different images to clearly define sections as well. So clear navigation, it's distinguishable. We've obviously got this incredibly bright neon image here. But then the navigation itself, I really just want to focus on the menu and search here. Yeah, it's kind of, white with black text. We know that that's the navigation. It's not kind of blurring into the rest of it. I've seen some websites in this instance where, the neon would essentially be drifting up into the navigation too. And, it'd be really difficult to read from a accessibility point of view. And yeah, you're probably not going to focus as much attention on it as you would now, where it's kind of really clearly defined. Clear CTAs. Again, this whole topic in itself, accessibility. Nico, maybe we can put that on one at some point too. Always love talking about that.
Yes.
But again, people might be like, oh man, look at this image. It's so bright. Those neon pink colors and blues, really bright. But they've done a good thing here where they've clearly defined those CTAs. So the CTAs pop. We know that we're in some sort of, we've got women's jeans, we've got a focus on jeans and shorts, and then it's breaking it down by gender as well. So we can easily get into those ones. Again, so thinking of the homepage as a gateway. We've got that navigation at the top. We've got those quick links underneath, 25% off your purchase, and that little banner, shop women, shop men. And then we've got 4 CTAs there as well. So there's plenty of options to get us to where we need to be. Yeah, visible parent categories. Always, we want to make sure that they're obviously clearly labeled. And that when we hover, we know that we're going to be seeing subcategories per parent category. So yeah, camp and hike, we'll hover over that or click it and it'll open up and we'll know that we're clearly in that product category and so on. And again, touching on it standing out, we've got this beautiful image here of a mountain, blue sky, but then we've got this kind of real like defining navigation at the top, clear, easy to read, left to right. Good focus on the search as well, search for great gear and clothing. And then we've got the rest of those elements too. So mentioning top category links. This is I really like this example here from Jet, because they're not detracting or like they're not sacrificing like their real estate to do this. They're really kind of, they've optimized that above the fold. The image doesn't need to be massive and large. And it's really kind of drawing you into the fact that, yeah, you've got home, fashion, beauty, grocery, and household. 4 main kind of areas of the site. So this, obviously is a huge site. We'll have mega navigation, lots and lots of products to navigate through. So how can we kind of first break that up? So home, fashion, beauty, grocery, and household. And then touching on more links, we've got featured shops too. So gifts, Nike shop, electronics, Adidas, and so on. And then depending on popularity, and when you do some analysis, you can figure out potentially what the top category links are. And then we can start testing and start bringing those in as well and seeing if they help in terms of generating extra revenue. But beautiful example here of desktop into mobile. It's swipeable, it's cut off. So we know that it's swipeable. We can swipe across. Instead of adding more length to the homepage, we're kind of keeping it contained. And then explore top brands as well is always present on both desktop and mobile too. So a great way to push key categories, brands, products by doing something like this.
Question from Katerina. Is this example not replicating the mega navigation chat carousel?
Yeah, essentially will be, yeah. So we kind of scroll down. You can see at the top left there, departments. But again, as we've scrolled down, that mega navigation, it doesn't become like inaccessible, but we want it to obviously focus their attention on the content on the homepage. So it's just another nice way of getting them to where they need to be. Again, everybody has different browsing behaviors. We land on a homepage, not everybody's going to think, oh, I want to go straight into the mega nav. They might want to feel inspired. They might want a different, kind of way of navigating to where they need to be. They might just be coming on and browsing and they'll be like, oh, okay, great. And then I'm scrolling, I've got home, fashion, beauty, and I'll go maybe through to fashion, something like that.
And Stuart had a great comment, I think, quote, I think Chat is a good example of a site that does not prioritize their own brand over the product brands. And Stuart also had a great question, I think, that matches what we talk about right now. How do you balance the tight real estate and what users look for in terms of UI patterns, like a search icon, for example?
Okay, sorry, Nico, say that again.
How do you balance tight real estate and what users look for in terms of UI patterns, like a search icon, for example?
Man, that's an interesting question. I mean, balance is always key on homepages, especially in terms of like large imagery, large, above the fold. It takes up so much real estate. Yeah, maybe we can look at this in the live review. Keep that question for that one, and then I can go more of a tangible type of person. I need to have something there, so we can, instead of just this example. But yeah, so guide users by displaying top category links. So yeah, and just this example from Zara. Look, Zara for me is, some people might think, oh, we're using Zara as best practice. Zara is pretty much split through the middle, I think. They do some very interesting stuff, especially on their PLP and product page. It could be classed as not very user friendly, and in some instances it isn't. But in this example, at least, we've got this really nice kind of design on mobile that gets us to where we potentially need to be quickly and fast. We've got images used as well. So instead of icons or instead of just text, we've got that kind of visual recognition of what we could go through here, and we could have perhaps more drawn to it that way. And yeah, helps decrease page height as well. Oh. And then from Net-a-Porter, So guide users by displaying top category links. Again, so consolidated navigation holds important functions like cart and search, which are both easily visible. So again, we're kind of focusing on that. But again, for me, in terms of best practice, I know we've got a few different examples here, but I really want to focus on, I really like Bed Bath & Beyond because it's still kind of acknowledging that accessibility standpoint as well, having those textual labels applied. From that, clear CTAs, clear banner. When we scroll as well, is that banner going to stick to the bottom of the navigation? It doesn't always need to. There is a close button there, so it is it kind of suggests that it doesn't need to be sticky at all times because we can remove it. But the navigation sticky at all times. Clear CTAs, banner sale, obviously getting people where they need to be, and then the cutoff design as well to encourage scroll. How are we doing for time? 12 o'clock. Okay. So guide them
halfway through.
Halfway through. Yeah. So content, guide users to browse recommended products, add reassurance elements about the product or other services, help guide users with links to top categories. So again, for those users that get further down the page, not necessarily saying that we need to duplicate content, but we can have similar elements as mentioned above the fold as well. We want to make sure that just because we've got this massive homepage and we want to put lots of content on there, we want to make sure that we're not just kind of wasting space. We're just putting stuff there for the sake of it. So yeah, recommended products, stuff that you might like. Obviously, when we bring in personalization as well for returning users, it's a great opportunity to present inspiring content to them. Newsletter subscription, we should always have that present. See this a lot nowadays, obviously, where we have modals, we have pop-ups prompting users to join the newsletter, and they'll get 10%, 15% off for joining the newsletter. Also kind of intermingled between above and the footer as well, like lots of different areas for you to kind of push that newsletter subscription. And obviously with discounts, it always helps getting people kind of signed up quicker. And then, yeah, on desktop as well. So browsing recommended products, displaying top category links, shipping, delivery, and returns. So, kind of unique selling points. It's always a great way to kind of get that on a homepage too. What differentiates you from other brands? And yeah, if there's any kind of notable information in terms of shipping, delivery, and returns that you want to get on there. Some brands obviously offer 30 days returns. Some offer 14 days. I think in terms of like brand reputability, brand reputation, I think that if you're clear with that as soon as possible, you might avoid, some kind of sad customers in the end. If a customer goes in there and they think maybe, oh, it's standard 30 days return, but then it turns out to be like 7 or 14 days and then they've missed it, then we're going to be unhappy and they might be unlikely to return. So really clearly labeling that early on will help, and avoid having them go looking for it in the footer and also, waiting for the cart, and also when they've made the purchase as well. So if Amazon, in terms of this got the carousel at the top of the page. Yeah, carousels again are up for debate. They're a great way to obviously contain a lot of data and a lot of information. But again, from an accessibility point of view, they are considered they're not good because, it depends. So some brands like to include maybe like 10 different products within a carousel. That's a lot, it's too much. The carousel will run too fast. So if you've got a cognitive, impairment, it might overwhelm you. But there is ways to kind of go about that, of course, with, arrows, with the kind of the UI just below as well to suggest that, look, yeah, there's this many included in it. And if you can skip as well to kind of like main content, skip past that carousel would be great, but typically it doesn't. So there's this real fine balance that we have to find between like user experience, accessibility, and so on, and carousels. But in this example, at least, it's allowing more content to appear above the fold. So obviously this example is from Covered, but what's Amazon doing? Current customer favorites, customer love shoes, sign in for the best experience. And then there's also kind of a slight cut so you can scroll and engage. But again, with Amazon, we know that the search is prime. Sorry to say, but yeah, search is prime, search is king, it's queen. It's so incredibly important for Amazon and their user experience that they know that most people do typically jump into the search, but a great utilization of real estate above the fold there as well.
There's actually a discussion going on in the chat about the carousel. So it seems to be a big topic. There was the question, is the carousel the best way to promote content in a hero area? Or is it more efficient from business and user perspective to have only one content in that area? That is a big question, I guess.
So I like it. I'm just going through the chat myself. Sorry, I've been so focused on these guidelines. I'm just going to pop in as well and just have a look. And I saw like it absolutely blowing up.
You can maybe we go through the guidelines and then you get yourself into the chat while I'll do the analysis.
Great to see.
Yeah, but I love the engagement. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Reassurance elements and newsletters. So just a little focus on that. Again, Nico, you might want to do this one because it's German.
It's German, yeah.
I can kind of gather a great iconography at least. Like, I can kind of tell what it's saying.
Yeah, I added this example from a German customer. I liked it because it's what you already said. It has the it's free from if you pay 19 euros or more, it's free delivery. You have a huge it's too many products, over 100,000 products. You have the fast delivery, and at the bottom you have these industry specific certifications. These reassurance elements, I mean, they're common best practice, right?
Yeah, that's it. Trust, security, reassurance. Okay, newsletter subscription. Again, I mentioned this before. So this is like we've got this kind of nice little corner highlight that appears, and they'll typically appear after a certain amount of seconds. They're quite sophisticated as well these days, which is great. These kind of pop-ups that they can appear after you've visited maybe one or two pages first. They can appear if you're kind of dwelling, if you're just kind of hesitating a little bit. It'll pop up gradually to suggest, hey, do you want to join and save 15% or 10% and so on. Modal, the ones that appear full page, people in the chat, go ahead. Let me know your thoughts on pop-ups that appear and take up most of the page with the kind of the typical opacity and grayed out. I'd love to know people's thoughts and opinions on that, good and bad.
I have a strong opinion on pop-ups. Don't do it.
Go ahead.
Please don't. Sorry?
You love them?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, exactly, right? So, man, it's really difficult, especially when you land on a homepage or any other page, and then you've just settled in. You're all settled in and ready to go, and then all of a sudden, boom!
Yeah,
and hits you.
And there's content for cookie content first. Then there's a pop-up. Then I don't know. Yeah. It's annoying, and I think the chat is on our side as well.
The chat is on our side. I'd love to actually do this. Just side note: measure how quick and how reactionary we are to closing the close button, and do a little test and see like how quick people are closing them, and maybe change the percentage as well, and see if it's still quick, if it's like offering 80% off or something like that. I think that'd be quite an interesting test to see. Obviously, don't do it for a long time. But I feel like even if they're offering like a crazy discount, we're naturally instinctive to just close it down straight away because it's just so abrasive when it appears that quickly.
Yeah, a couple good comments in the chat on this. Well, let's go through the last couple of guidelines.
Yep.
I know you're not really a fan of that, right? The video on the homepage because of accessibility.
So typically yes, but in this example, it's good because there's a pause button. So as long as there's a toggle of some sort, it's always great to have. Again, it's this fine balance. I'm finding this so much, especially these last couple of years now. This fine balance between design, brand, accessibility. You know, brand obviously want to kind of push nice, beautiful content that's not just static images. But then on our side, we're like, oh, what's that doing to the load time? What's that doing for users with impairments? So that we try and find a balance these days. And you know, having a toggle so you can pause it is a great way to kind of balance that out. So yeah, always ensure that you can pause them. No sound as well. You know, that could overwhelm users with certain different impairments too. But it's a nice way to reduce the amount of images on a page. You can show a lot in a video, as you know, and then on a homepage, you're adding extra length to a page and extra content as well. So it's finding that balance at all times. So big focus on
especially for fashion retailers. You know, you get a look and the feel how the clothes fall depending on your movement. I because there was a comment in the chat, video drives fantastic engagement for us. Almost not intrusive. Almost double the clicks versus static and strong CVR. So yeah.
Awesome. And again, for mobile, we've got that pause button. We don't have it on Marine Layer, but you know, we can't have a huge go at them for that. But Ralph Lauren's got a pause button. But we've also kind of got that cutoff design as well. So we're showing, you know, both a man and a woman there in a couple of different outfits. And then they can go down into shop guys, shop women, and then we can kind of tailor that as we go along. You know, Ralph Lauren as an example, you know, they're obviously incredibly big brand. They've typically got a lot of limited edition products that they want to display. So it's how to kind of display them without adding extra stuff to your page as well. Really like these. So, you know, kind of, we've got images, and instead of kind of having shop this product underneath, we've got a little tag that appears and it can take us straight to that specific product. A really nice example that I would recommend everybody to kind of look at is Net-a-Porter do it as well, and Mr. Porter too. If you go to their editorial pages, obviously editorial, blogs, incredibly important in terms of user engagement, SEO, etc. And typically we'll see incredible images in there, similar to Chloe, where we've got like a model wearing multiple products, but we want to still lead our customers to those products. So they'll have those kind of little buttons overlaid on the image, 1, 2, or 3, and you can kind of go ahead then and shop the look essentially. So we don't leave them in an unfamiliar place, because I've seen this plenty of times where users have these beautiful images, but then they've got to go looking for these products, you know, these beautiful editorial images, and they have to go looking for them, or the video as well. But yeah, gets them there quickly. So most common recommendations before we move into the analysis, most common recommendations: avoid the false bottom, cut design, encourage scroll. You've got a homepage for a reason. Otherwise, just have a single page. Make information clear, accessible, and succinct. Reducing, you know, keeping it necessary, get to the point. Immediately guide users to top popular or featured categories. So yeah, we've got the navigation, fantastic, but also we've got a great area to kind of push popular featured categories on there as well. Okay, cool.
Great, thank you for that. And I think we had someone from Net-a-Porter on the chat, because Katarina just wrote, thanks for the great call out for the editorial content.
Love it. Absolutely love it, Katarina. Honestly, I've been using that a few times. So yeah, great stuff.
Oh, amazing. Cool. So I will if you could, let me share my screen. Yeah, there we go. And let's go through the analysis, because I think I'm gonna do it a little bit faster, because we want everyone wants to see the live review and see live, as see Matt really coming to life, because that's when he's his best, if he has something in front of himself where he can go through and do the UX audit. So let's not waste any more time. We will start with the shoe retailer and how they and how and why they changed the layout of the homepage. And we have two screenshots of the homepage here. On the left, you see the exposure rate metric. The metric itself is pretty self-explanatory, and I think it makes sense that further down the page we go to the further down the page we go, the exposure rate drops. And what we also usually see, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, is that only 50% of our visitors see the content below the fold. So you like we just shared in the guidelines, make that count. Here it's even worse with 38.7%. On the right, you see the same screenshot with the attractiveness rate. This metric combines the exposure rate and the click rate to answer the question, what makes them click if the element was seen, that the visitor click on it. And what we see is that the shop by size element, all at the bottom of the screenshot, is highly engaging, because 12.5% of visitors that saw the element, of those 12%, 12.5%, 10.9 engaged with it. And compared with the smaller banner at the top that has 100% exposure rate, but almost no activity, the question is, why not switch those two? And if you look at the absolute click rates and on those elements, you wouldn't really understand that, which elements work best to drive engagement. But let's look at two more metrics before we go to the outcome. The conversion rate per click on the left, telling us once visitors click, do they convert? And if they click, what's the revenue that comes with the click on the right-hand side? Because you want to avoid making the wrong conversions in a sense of promoting elements that bring smaller order value, for example. And what we see on the left is that the shop by size element brings the highest conversion rate compared, and that's important. It doesn't matter if it's 10.8 or whatever number, it's important to compare it to the other elements on the page. And it's the best performing element when users engage with it, as we can see here. We now know that the element is not only highly engaging, but it also drives meaningful revenue, but has low exposure. So that leads to the hypothesis: if we move the element further up the page, could we generate more revenue? Let's look at the results. They're amazing. On the left, the old design; on the right, the new design. And moving the shop by size element further up the page on mobile led to an increase of exposure of 176% and 225 higher click rate, and doubled the conversion rate of the homepage, not in total, of the homepage. So when people get to the homepage, do they convert later on? And let's look what that simple change did on desktop. Also here, the exposure rate and click rate on the element skyrocketed. The conversion rate, not too much on the homepage, like I said, conversion rate of the homepage, it still grew about 50%. So in retrospect, and what I love about these analyses, in retrospect, they seem very logic and simple. That's true if you have the right metrics. And please be aware this can change because of seasonality, peak season, Cyber Week, Christmas, or just sales. But this can change, and you need to analyze this again and again. Looking at the time, it is almost 1:20. I have another analysis. Actually, I would love to let you decide in the chat what you want to see. Do you want to do the live review, or do you want to see another analysis? If you let me know, we can we can give you the best experience. What do you think of the first analysis, Matt?
Oh, it's awesome. That's why I love working for Content Square. Honestly, because again, for me, it's the same insights are getting proven time and time again, you know? So it just makes it easy, really, when you're kind of discussing it with a prospect or a client. So live review, both. Sharing that live review and share analysis after the webinar. Martina, efficient.
Very good. Let's do that. I mean, the analysis that I have left, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We will send it to you with the slides and obviously with the recording. Maybe you can click yourself through the analysis. It's interesting, definitely. But let's do the live review now, and we'll send you the analysis after the.
All right. So I went through the chat. before.
You decided for pirate.com.
No, I got a few up. So I thought
okay.
what we could do is, I'll do like because I've just obviously been through the guidelines and not much is going to kind of change. I reckon what I'll do is I'll do kind of like a quick speed run because we've only got about 10 minutes. And also, sorry, Katrinelle was the first person to kind of ask. So with pirate.com, we know there's lots to fix, which can be overwhelming. Thanks. So have a look at Pirate first. So we can, so like overall first impressions, like, and I know that this is, you know, part of brand as well, but overall straight away, it feels incredibly overwhelming. Again, people in the chat, don't go too hard. Don't be too like, you know, nasty or anything like that. For whatever site we look at today, you know, I'll refrain myself as well. I'm joking. There's nothing really terrible to say, but from a brand perspective, I know that, you know, it's pirate.com. We want to kind of get that across. I'm assuming, I think I actually know what you do. I think it's DJ Studios, right? Yeah. So rehearse, DJ, record, dance podcast. So yeah, we've got lots of different things that we can do. Find a studio. But this banner is huge. And then the titles as well, quite difficult to it's quite difficult to read. So yeah, it's that from an accessibility point of view, this could be a little bit overwhelming. So I'm going to look on mobile quickly and see what mobile is saying. Just go to an iPhone for now. So again, that banner is huge. It's pushing you down. We've got the navigation. We can kind of go through that. We've got a back, which is great. And I kind of like the difference in the contrast to suggest that you're in a different kind of area within the navigation now. Find a studio, products. All right. So yeah, overall, quite overwhelming, especially on desktop. Very overwhelmed. We've got some stuff down here, which would be great to kind of test in terms of attractiveness rate. Are people drawn to shop merch? Obviously, we've got some blog pieces as well. Okay, so I'm going to move on next to straight away, Regatta. Cookies, we know that we have to go through this whole thing. Again, feel free to get involved in the chat. Your opinion about all this stuff, but I know that it's obviously very necessary these days. But straight off the bat, and then we had this kind of swoop in very quickly. Sign up plus an extra 10%. Okay, in this instance, I'm going to close it. So desktop, huge image. There's no real indication essentially right now that there's content below the fold. So we've got a big focus on the banner itself and then the navigation elements. Big mega nav. So women, men, kids. So, you know, kind of done by gender first, and then we kind of move in to the category links. There's a lot. It's quite overwhelming. For me, you know, I would probably focus maybe on search. Again, search in itself is a whole other topic, but yeah, we've got trending now. I'll type in something. So suggested searches, it's collections and Black Friday as opposed to maybe black jacket. Waterproof does come up, which is good. So again, it's quite interesting that it says search color, style, or code, and I'm going ahead and I'm searching for a color, and then it does come up. So it doesn't come up if we kind of, as we're typing the color. We've got suggested products. Again, this is good, but some suggested search links may be better. You know, kind of like men's black jackets, women's black jackets, men's black trousers, women's black trousers, something like that could be way better. This then does essentially take up the whole page. So I'm trapped in this menu now. So as I scroll, some users might get a little bit confused and be like, oh, how do I get out of this? And then it might take them a while to register that they can actually close it. So I would be quite conscious about this as well. Perhaps even maybe keeping this sticky whilst you search if you've got this kind of extended content there as well. And then we can go into the content. Okay, so best-selling waterproof jackets, which is fantastic. Maybe we could reduce the size of this image and just allow this.
That's what I wanted to ask you. Yeah. What about the size of the image? Because we don't see any products. And I think we saw in a lot of analyses we did that if you use the cut design you talked about earlier, and you have some of the products, not only do they perform better, but also the image, the big hero image performs better.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I think we could optimize this image for sure. We could definitely reduce it in size, and it wouldn't be detrimental to what we're the message we're trying to get across. Even if we've just got best-selling waterproof jackets as the title appearing along that fold line would be fantastic. And then on mobile, okay, mobile is better, of course. Is it? Oh, wait, yeah, best-selling waterproof jackets. So we do have that, but on desktop, not so much. So that's something to consider. And then we go down, we've got imagery, and we've got the text underneath, which is good, you know, unless you kind of, from an accessibility point of view, we've got like a kind of grayed out opacity on top and then the text. We've obviously got this consideration as well. Nav is semi-sticky, it's kind of there. This could be just the emulator though that's causing that. And then we get down to the footer again. Couple more minutes. Okay, Trini, straight away. Pop up. Sign up to get a free gift. Sign up here and we'll email you a code on your first order of £40. So for me, and I saw in the chat before, gut instinct probably would just be, sorry, Trini, to just close that down straight away. We'll set the chat. No, and can you please do decathlon? Okay, give me a sec, man. So much. Do another session.
Yeah, we definitely have to do another session.
Yeah, we've got a comment there from Katerina. Yeah, another session.
Yeah, maybe even on the homepage, because there are things I would love to ask you also regarding, you know, personalization recommendations and when you logged in and versus when you don't. Exactly. And stuff like that. So
I'm loving this comment from John, by the way. Trini triple pop up. So yeah, we've got a pop-up of free gift. We've got London chat, and then we've got this as well. Like, so that's a lot. It's too much. And again, large image, video, no toggle. So from an accessibility point of view, we'd love to get a toggle on there so we could pause it if needed. Nice, clean navigation with, you know, kind of a defining banner at the top. Gives the page some structure, which is great. Search as well. Navigation, skincare, category, products, makeup. Okay, cool. So yeah, those overwhelming when you first land on the page. Medium marked.
Okay. I think you can turn on content square for this. No, we're not gonna do this.
Yeah.
It's your data. I'm not gonna show it to anyone else.
Okay, so top category is great above the fold line, fantastic. So a good example here is like this image. It's articulating promotion of some sort, but it's not detrimental to the rest of the page, right? And where it's allowing these categories to appear along the fold line as well. We've got this stuff here. So we've got like that top line of navigation, and then we've got the menu itself. Interesting to know what people think about this type of menu. Let me know. There's a kind of focus almost, right? Instead of a big hover menu, we know that MediaMarkt, right, is huge. Huge company. Lots and lots of products. If we had a navigation such as this, or kind of even what we saw in Regatta for this, it would be incredibly overwhelming. So I can kind of see what's going on here. And we can kind of go ahead and go in. So we've got gaming, we can hop across, television. It's a little bit sensitive, but maybe that's just my mouse as well. But that's something to consider from an accessibility point of view, how the sensitivity of it all. But that's good. Clear search. It's in Spanish, so I'm not going to type because I don't know any Spanish. Category, navigation. So yeah, I mean, this is good stuff, right? I think other than the fact that the navigation isn't sticky, I can see perhaps why you don't have it sticky, because it's quite big. But perhaps you could optimize it where it's sticky and you've just got, say, this line here that's sticky. These kind of sub items here don't remain sticky. There's lots of different options for that. Would be good. There's no back to top either, but the page itself isn't too overly long either as well. Okay, and one more. Bulgari. Okay, similar stuff. Search bar's hidden up right at the top. but we know this is a luxury brand, big focus on editorial imagery. I feel with Bulgaria, I did see at one point a couple of years ago, very similar to the one I mentioned about Net-a-Porter, Mr. Porter, Shop the Look. Maybe you do have that on other areas of the site, but again, from a luxury point of view, it's nice to have. This kind of thing would be an accessibility issue, I feel. It's a little bit overwhelming as I mouse over it. Glasses Direct, I'll do this separately. Rebecca, I think. I think your name's in the chat. I'll make sure to get that written down, and I'll get you on LinkedIn or something like that, or add me on LinkedIn and ask me, and just so I don't forget. And we can look at links for you for that too. There's so much. I mean, we could do a full hour through. Anyway, thank you so much.
I think, yeah. First off, thank you, Matt, for taking the time. Thanks everyone in the chat for being that engaged. I take it as a definitive answer to the question, should we do this again? There will be another question. Please check out the Conversions Next Hub. I'm going to post it into the chat if you haven't checked it out. We're going to upload all the content we have. I'm going to post it in the chat right now to this hub. You can also find all the sessions we have planned for this year, but in terms of your feedback, we only have planned 4 sessions. The next one is on checkout, optimizing the checkout. Then we'll have another one in September on peak season, and another one in October on optimizing content. Matt will join me in each and every one of these sessions. But based on your feedback, we may have to squeeze in 1 or 2 other, 2 more sessions on the topics you asked for. Please reach out to us if you have any questions.